Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Better Together podcast. I'm your host, Mike Baker. This episode is all about the history of North Idaho. It's so much fun. It's incredible when you talk with somebody that just has a passion for something, and Britt Thurman just delivers today. You're going to enjoy it. We're going to talk all about the museum, what it does, but also the lessons that we should be learning from history and how we have strong communities because of the shared history that we have working together. Enjoy the episode. Well, Britt, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to learn more about the work that you guys are doing. I mean, it's been a crazy journey for you guys the last little bit. So,
just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
So a lot of changes going on, which usually you don't hear with history too often. But
I know.
a lot of changes at the museum.
A lot of changes. Let's talk about that. But before we jump into everything, tell me about how did you get into this job, and then let's talk a little bit about the museum and what you guys are up to.
So one thing I'll probably warn you ahead of time is you ask a historian a question,
Yeah.
you're probably going to get way more of an
all
answer
right.
than you ever anticipated.
It's all good. We've yet to have the 3-hour episode.
There we go. So we'll go way back. But no, I always had a love for history. And so I went to University of Idaho and got my bachelor's in history. Had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do for a career. I didn't want to teach at a public school. Didn't want to go into academia and teach at a college. And I was like, oh. And so an advisor was like, what about museums? And I'd visited museums my whole life, never had thought that, oh yeah, that's an actual career field that people work at. A lot of people do. And so got my master's in museum studies and worked for different cultural organizations or museums across the country, and had known that I had always wanted to come back home to take over the local museum that was here, because I wasn't here in fourth grade for the annual fourth grade field trip. So I visited it for the first time as an adult and saw all of the potential of what it could be. And so it was instant. That's what I want for my dream job, is to be able to come back home and run the local museum. And so the previous director, who was there for 38 years, retired, and it was right when I was trying to make a change, unfortunately due to COVID, and getting laid off at the museum I was at. And so it just kind of worked out timing-wise, and came back home closer to family again, which I absolutely love, and have my dream job. And almost 6 years later, and I still think of it as my dream job. So it's been amazing.
That's so cool. I love that you said at the start of that this is what, you knew what you wanted to do, and you made it happen. You're like you make the world happen. That's good. Manifesting it.
I must have done something, because otherwise it was just a whole lot of luck. Well, I don't like to say COVID was luck, but
I get it. But it changed.
It was a
lots
positive
of things for
when a
people.
lot of negative was going on.
Right.
So
I think it forced us all to just sit back and reprioritize things and think about how can we do things differently. So it was a horrible experience, terrible, but you always learn something from those experiences.
Yes.
And maybe history teaches us that. There's some pattern there.
Every once in a while things come back around. So we only learned it a little bit more than we could avoid repeating some mistakes. But that's okay.
Well, for somebody that just doesn't know what the museum is, let's talk about that. What the heck are you doing down there? What is it?
Yeah, so we've been around since 1968, which I don't think a lot of people realize for us. And we started as the Hoo Hoo Club.
The what?
The Hoo Hoo Club.
The Hoo Hoo Club.
It was a group of loggers that just wanted to preserve their logging history.
Okay.
And then it just kind of grew into a general history museum, not just a logging history museum. And so we cover the history of Kootenai County, Benewah, and Shoshone counties. And so everything from logging, mining, the sheet zoom, fur traders, pretty much anything that has taken place, some natural history with the Missoula floods, and we just study it and educate the community and tourists about, who our story is, or what our story is, who we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we do it, obviously, museum exhibits.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. But then through a lot of programs and things that we do and online ways and print media, we try and get the word out there as much as we can about what North Idaho history is all about.
Yeah. And you guys have had some location changes.
We have.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back to the very beginning, we started in this tiny little building on NIC's campus, the Powder Magazine, and that was our very first museum. And then we moved to the building that's no longer there.
I know.
By City Park, and we were there from 1979 to 2024. So do math real quick, 45 years.
Sure.
And then we're working to build the home that we're in right now, but it wasn't quite ready when we had to vacate the old home. So for 1 year, we got to move into a temporary location downtown on 4th Street and then move again the very next year. And we're not planning on moving again anytime soon. So this is it for us where we're at. So it's good that it's a nice building.
That's good. Where is it at?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's
Give
okay.
information.
It's
Not everyone
okay.
lives in my head with me.
I'm picking the historian out.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're in the historic J.C. White House. Used to be on Sherman Avenue. Gorgeous stately home that was built in 1903 by J.C. White, hence the name, and who owned most of the steamboats on Lake Coeur d'Alene and made a lot of money, built a beautiful home. And the land was being sold. They didn't want new owners didn't want the building. So we were able to get it, I call it donated to us, even though it cost us about $500,000 to move it.
I was going to say, we have to talk about that process of moving.
Yeah.
It. Yes.
I hadn't started yet
Okay.
when they actually did the move, which I'm very grateful for because I think I'd be all gray-haired by now if I was here for
intense.
that, to watch that big old house moving down these tiny streets with all these turns, and then expertly being placed on top of a new foundation that was built for it. I watched the video and I just can't believe that truck was able to put it onto the foundation in just one go.
It was wild. I mean, for those of you that are listening and you haven't seen this or don't know about this, we'll make sure we add a link to the video. I mean, they picked up this house and drove it through Coeur d'Alene and parked it. I mean, it was like, just watching it, you're like, what is happening? It's so cool.
Right. You see, like, the manufactured homes, you know, they're cut in half and you see them going down the highway every once in a while. But this was the entire home. And it's not a small building at all. It's like 4,000 square feet. And on the back of a truck, just going through the streets of downtown and cutting branches out of the way as they went. And so, and no damage to the building except for one window.
To watch.
Yeah, one window cracked a little bit, and other than that, it was in perfect condition. And so we still did a ton of work to it.
Sure.
And it needed it. It was an older home. And so we have land that's owned by the city at the base of Tubbs Hill that we have a long lease with them to be able to use.
For it.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, and yet it's still really close to downtown. So we get, right the thoroughfare for all of the tourists that come in and are looking for cultural activities to do. And yet we have all this property now to be able to do not just indoor interpretation, but outdoor interpretation and programs and events and all of that. So it's a really great space for us to have. And there's no leaks. The roof does not leak at all. And that's my favorite because it was the old building, leaked everywhere. If it rained outside, it rained inside.
Right.
And so that's one of my favorite things is it rains and I don't have a high stress level that day. It's great.
Why an old building? So, I mean, I love that it's an old building, but why would you be so crazy to just take an old house and move it? What's the value of that historical preservation and having a museum in a home like that? I mean, how does that feel? Why is that important? I know it is.
Right.
Tell me. Yeah.
I mean, one of the beautiful things about history is you can learn about it no matter where you are. You can read a book, you can watch a program on TV, you can go online, you can read articles and stories, and there's no bounds to being able to learn about history. But there's something completely different from learning about history at the source of history. And so you learn about all of the steamboats. Well, you're in the house of the man who owned most of the steamboats on Lake Coeur d'Alene. And so here's all of his artifacts and things that are in the house. And so you're not just in some random place learning about this, but you're in the place where every day when he clocked off work, this is where he went, this is where his family was. And so it kind of makes it a little bit more tangible as well. And people are so used to seeing that house. I mean, 1903, that house has been here longer than anyone who's still alive has been here. And so to have it still remain, but also now be such an integral part to telling the story of Coeur d'Alene, it's just really important to have these kind of constants in our life. And so we love that we were able to help create a new life for the building, and that it didn't just get torn down like, unfortunately,
I think it's so special.
many others have.
Right. Because it oftentimes is easier to just knock something down and start over. And I'm sure there's a lesson in history in that, but I think buildings have their own energy, and almost like a repository of just all the years of history and something. And when you take that away, I think it disappears. And so to have all that history locked into that room or into that house, and then to be able to come in and do more with it. I mean, you're not that far away from, this long history, this long story of our community that you walk in and I think you immediately feel it.
Right.
That this is different. This is something special. I should pay attention.
Yes. Yeah, it sets the tone
Yep.
for your visit, absolutely.
Yep.
And so it kind of helps usher you into that mindset of what North Idaho history is.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is so we built the basement foundation, and we didn't seal off the bottom of the house, essentially, so to create a new ceiling in the basement. So when you look up, you're actually looking at the structural underside of the house, which was something that you hadn't ever been able to see before. So I really love that you're kind of seeing also a side of the house that you hadn't before. And I just love that little window. And I mean, it's not like it was any major part of the house or anything like that, but I just love that you can see that now while you're down in the exhibits.
Feels real. Yeah. I love that. So what's going on at the museum now? What are we expecting to see?
What isn't going on at the museum right
know.
now? It's been great. We've had a lot of growth, which is fantastic. There seems to be a really strong appetite for engaging with our history and learning about it. And so we've been doing more exhibits every year, and I'll talk about some of them that we have going on. We've been doing a lot more programs, and then really important to us this year in particular, we've been really amping up our youth educational programs. And so trying to get kids of all ages to really get excited about history and to learn about it, so as they get older, they're more likely to want to preserve it. And so if there is a building that, is at risk for demolition or, needs some funds for a renovation project, then they have that interest already to be a part of it.
That's great.
And we're just ending our summer season of cemetery walking tours, which we just started doing last summer. Normally we only did them in the fall around Halloween because it's a cemetery. It kind of fits to do that.
That's good. Yeah.
And that was a new program that we had done, and it sells out every year. And they're super cool. This fall we're doing just our murder and outlaw tours. And so you can, go into the oldest cemetery in Coeur d'Alene, and you're hearing all of these early murder stories in our area, but we also put a whole bunch of just local history in it too. So you might hear about George Simpson, who died during World War II times in downtown Coeur d'Alene, and so there were Farragut sailors that were, spread throughout this story, and so we talk all about what that was like and what Coeur d'Alene was like during World War II and what it meant to have Farragut here. And so you're hearing a murder story, but you're also getting this huge dose of local history that's mixed in with it as well. And because as much as we love kind of going into that darker history, we still want to be true to what our mission is to teach that general history. So obviously cemetery tours are one of my favorite programs that I do.
Yeah.
Huge passion. But we have summer camp, our last 2 weeks of summer camp which is our second year of doing summer camp. And we have a new education programs manager who is just full of energy and enthusiasm and is coming up with all of these new ideas of things that we can do, which is awesome to have. She's 25, so she has
Perfect.
just
Lots
that
of energy,
youthful
ready to go,
energy,
yeah.
which I wish I still had.
I know.
A little bit of.
I'm feeling it today. You got it. Yeah.
It's still there
It's
a little
fun.
bit,
It's
but
fun
when
to
I
see
see
it.
her just kind of going off, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was nice being 25.
Yeah.
And
Well, you have wisdom now.
there
So,
we
you
go.
know, it's a good
we'll
thing,
we'll
yeah.
count that. But we have our exhibit that's on right now. It is Trailblazing Women of North Idaho.
Oh, cool.
Looking at some of those women whose stories don't always get told, but played really critical roles in our area's history. And everything from these two sisters who were 6 foot tall, I think it was like 1920s, and they went all the way to New York City because they won a sawing competition. And
gosh.
so you wouldn't have expected that at all for, teenage girls to be a part of something like that. But to talking about like famous aviatrixes who taught male pilots for World War II, and a parachutist and a wing walker.
That's
and
so cool.
There's just a lot of tremendous women in our history that we get to share their story.
I mean, this community, I look at the story of Lidwin Durney, right? I mean, just same thing. I mean, these powerful, amazing women that shaped our community. I mean, I love it. I actually have to come see that. I'm really excited.
You should.
Yeah,
It's
I need to get down and
until
see
the
it.
end of the month, so
All
you
right.
don't have too
We're
much
here.
longer to.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the 29th is the last day,
All right.
so make sure you come
Gotta
down for
get
that.
down and see it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we have a mad dash taking that down. We have 5 days to take that exhibit down and put our new exhibit up, which is a traveling exhibit called War Comes Home.
Okay.
And it looks at, because, we've done a lot of military history and talking about, veterans and kind of their experience at war. But this is looking at the kind of toll that being away from family can take on service members. And so specifically by looking at letters that service members and their families wrote back and forth to each other, and then what it was like trying to reintegrate back home after war. So looking more at that kind of like the mental aspect of it as opposed to, the battles and everything that went on. And so since it's a national exhibit, we're working with local veterans to collect their stories to make
beautiful.
sure, again, that we're talking about North Idaho's history within all of this. So we'll be incorporating that within it. And so that one should be a really great one. We're working with some of the local American Legions and VFWs to find some veterans who still are here that called, North Idaho home while they were at war and are still here and want to share their story, which can be tough sometimes. There's a lot of emotions and things that are involved with that. So to open up and share the story can be tough.
Big deal and powerful when it comes out. And I think people don't realize what comes from storytelling, as you go through that. I mean, the historical lessons, again, there's a lot for us to learn as a society. We're trying really hard to get better, but we're always falling back. But when you have sort of the elders in the tribe telling the stories, right? I mean, It's like, here's what it was like. This is what it feels like. And I think it just helps people realize you're not alone.
Absolutely.
Like it can feel like you're having the worst day on the planet, and you probably are in your mind, but somebody's also been through something. And if you just take a minute and breathe and look around you, maybe you find that solace in a letter that you read at the museum. Maybe that's a text message from a friend. I mean, something like reach out, because be surprised at how the world's waiting to just kind of light you back up,
right?
And you find it in the most random places. But I
It
think
is.
museums have powerful stories.
It's all about connection, and whether you're connecting to someone that's right there in front of you or you're connecting to someone that came before you that had a similar circumstance or situation. It's all about just connecting to other human beings.
Yeah.
And so we really hope that this exhibit kind of helps with that and start some of these conversations. And because our mission, we created a new mission after I started in the board. We workshopped some things. And so our mission is to preserve and illuminate our past to inspire our future. And it was really important to us to add that last bit, because we're not just out here educating you about the past just so you know about it.
Right.
But it's really to look at what can we take from the past to build the type of future that we want.
Yeah.
And so how do we apply that presently to build the future that we want? And so it's absolutely vital and important to be able to have conversations and learn, and then not just leave it at learning, but applying it afterward.
I know. I was working on a question as you're talking about, like, you have all of this you spent your life studying this. What's, for somebody that's out there listening today, like, what's a lesson, from history that you've learned that you just wish everybody would sort of like latch onto and say, like, oh, get it, focus here. Let's not keep making the same mistake. Do you have a favorite story that kind of leads you in that path?
I don't know necessarily. I mean, obviously I have favorite stories and things, but not like to have one that's like, I wish everybody would pay attention to this. I mean, it's so cliched to do the whole, there's nothing like original almost that happens. Like everything has happened before in the past. It's just maybe in a slightly different context, or, the situation is and scenario is a little different, but these things keep happening. And it can be really frustrating to see things that are happening now and to know, like, I read about that, in a paper in 1919, and we went through this exact same thing, and we were having these exact same arguments, and it's like nothing, in 100 years is changing. And so I don't know if that's comforting. A lot of times, lack of change is comforting to people, but it can be frustrating to see repeating patterns that were negative repeating patterns. And so I think it's just really important to kind of step back and not instantaneously react, but just, open your eyes, your ears, and just challenge everything that you think, see, or hear, and just, the information is out there, and just get it, and just be the biggest skeptic. As a historical researcher, that's one thing that we always have to do, is it can be so easy to fall into, like, oh, I read this, in the Coeur d'Alene Press.
Or they said it.
Yeah, in 1925, so therefore it happened. And it's like, no, that's what the reporter wrote, but, that's one person's perspective on it. And so it's always trying to verify and double check and get other perspectives on things so that you don't fall into easy information traps.
No, I think it's so easy to look into, I've said this on a couple episodes before, but like, if you're on social media, it's really easy to look at the world and go, everybody hates each other and it's terrible. And I'm sure there's part of that, but there's also, like, when you're at the museum, when you're at, Live After 5, when you're at the grocery store, our community is strong and there's good people here, but that
Great
narrative
people
is being painted as everybody hates each other and it's all about who you vote for and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my gosh, like, we should have learned this lesson by now. Like, people take power and they, create the environment for people to hate each other so they can advance their things, but then we get lost in the way. And, I look at that in the healthcare system. There's so much noise around that, but at the end of the day, we just have to eat better. We have to exercise.
Right.
We need to get some sleep and take care of our souls. And, like, that's how the world works. But there's so much noise out there. Everybody's screaming. It's like, just slow down and learn from the history. Like, learn these lessons. It's not that complicated.
I think that's one thing that I like about history and learning history, is because it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, like you said, who you voted for, any of these things. Once you live and you call North Idaho home, we now have a shared heritage, and we have that shared history, and it's something that unites all of us. No matter how we look at it or how we feel about it, whether it was a positive or a negative, that is our history, and it's something that we all have in common now once we start calling ourselves North Idahoans. And so it can be a very uniting thing if we allow it to be.
Yeah. Well, we've had some tough times. I've been here 17 years, but when I first moved up here, I didn't know much about North Idaho history coming from Utah. And people mentioned some of the things that happened in the past with, white supremacy stuff. And it's just like, whoa, I didn't know about that, but okay. But I look at the story, looking at the community rising up, tackling a problem, and moving on to the next spot. Now you have to keep stuff from coming back. You have to sort of keep history from repeating itself. But I think there's that value of, like, actually this community is super resilient.
Very
and
much
strong.
so.
When a problem pops up, you see people rally, and whether it's that, or rallying to get the Croc Center going, or the GoFundMe for somebody that needs help, this community just continues to step up, and
Well,
it's
and
a
that's
great
how
story.
this community was built in the first place, was just people coming together
Yeah.
to do everything. We needed a library, so a group of people came together and they built a library.
Mm-hmm.
And we needed a college, so a group of people came together, fundraised, and they built a community college. And that's literally the story of our community, is just everyone banding together to
Yeah.
make it happen. And so it's a powerful story, and one that we need to remember, that we
more,
are
yeah.
we are very powerful when we come
Right.
together, and we can get a lot done. And that's just evidenced by how many nonprofits are in this community, because there are a ton, and they do such incredible, amazing work. And it's because the community really comes together to make it happen.
Yep. Well, I mean, that history unites us way more than it divides us. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah,
good lesson.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, you said you have some really exciting things coming up as far as some fundraiser and some exhibits coming up. Let's jump into that for a minute. Yeah.
So, and I guess it is technically a fundraiser for us, but it's so minor what we make.
Yeah.
It's more like just
We like
community
friend
event.
raisers too.
Yes.
Those are great things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate saying some of these things because they almost become like so cliche, but it absolutely is more of a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And it's our Harvest Festival, and it's our third year doing it. And for me, I just love fall and that time of year. And I was like, we finally have a space. Let's just do it. This is fun.
Yeah.
And we had so many people come out. And it was like, okay, this is great. The community wants something like this too. Because, Harvest Festivals, they're all over the area, and they're fantastic and so much fun. But we, again, always keeping things mission related. We do a lot of historical demos. So we have like the Northwest Fur Trade historians that set up a camp to talk about what it was like to be one of the mountain men's or a fur trader, and showing some of those skills. We have Coeur d'Alene Tribe beater that's doing bead demonstrations, or talking about foraging, or the water potato, and things that were important for their culture that are harvest related. And we have a blacksmith, and someone with a loom and knitting, and just really looking at these kind of historical early skills and doing demonstrations and education. And then, of course, a lot of good food and music and shopping and pumpkin painting and all of the good stuff that comes with a regular Harvest Festival. And so we have that on October 17th. And it's just a ton of fun. It's a great way. Almost everything in it is free. Obviously, shopping's not free. Got to pay if you want to buy
some stuff,
something.
that's right.
And then certain activities that do have a cost. But otherwise, most of the activities and crafts and all the demonstrations, it's all free. We just want people to come out and have a good time, and then go inside the museum, check out the exhibits. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing in the museum right now? I know that's not a fair question. It's like saying what's a favorite kid, but
Oh no, I
like,
totally
can I ask that?
have
Is that
one.
okay? Okay, yeah.
Well, okay, I take it back. I have two.
Okay.
So hopefully there's
I'm open.
time.
You
Okay.
can pick as many as you want.
So one of them, the first one I'll talk about, is actually an artifact that we don't own. We have it on loan from a gentleman, and it is a Winchester shotgun that was given to Harry Day of Day Mines during the mining labor wars. And so when you had, all these labor disputes going for, the bad working conditions and the low pay, and so they're striking and they're literally bombing some of these mines and these mills, and so the mine
Silver
owners.
Valley history is just like,
it's.
whoa.
I mean, you talk about the early labor fights in this country, and North Idaho was right there at the start of it.
And I don't know that I would have thought that just coming here.
No.
Yeah.
And so these mine owners were trying to get federal assistance, and the federal government, through the Pinkerton Agency, said, "Okay, here's some guns. Just shoot them if they come at your property." And so we have one of the shotguns with a full pack of shells to go with it.
Wow.
And it was never fired, so it has all of its original manufacturer labels and everything on it still. But I just think that's really, it's just a wild time of our history, a wild story.
Yep.
And to have, one of the guns that the federal government gave to mine owners to shoot American citizens that were, getting out of hand or whatever. It's just kind of talks about
So
like
North
the
Idaho.
you think of the Wild West and like that right there is pretty much it.
Yep.
And so I love that one. And the other one that we have that actually is one of our artifacts is a bottle of Prohibition whiskey.
Oh, cool.
And it was found years and years later in a clerk's desk. And it was a prescription whiskey bottle.
Yeah.
And because that was one of the only ways that you could get, but they're obviously fake prescriptions and all of that stuff. So this one was confiscated. It's completely wax sealed on the top.
Oh, wow.
The alcohol is still inside. And so I love Prohibition history. And so that bottle is just...
People got very creative.
Oh my gosh, did they get... If only they could apply that creativity to some other things too. Like imagine where we'd be right now.
Imagine where we'd be.
Right?
Our love for alcohol changed to like love for changing the future.
It's absolutely, we did an exhibit on Prohibition history in this area, and I had so much fun researching it. And it's absolutely, they just, anything that they could think of to be able to hide it, and or at times just not hide it at all because your local sheriff and
Just
police, they
go,
were just like, whatever. And so it just,
It's
was
like all
life
the
as
creative
normal.
ways people sneak stuff into concerts nowadays. You know, like we learned the lessons from history.
Yep, absolutely. See, there you go.
So
Learn from the past
Learn
on
from the
how to
past.
sneak alcohol in. That's what we're here for at the
That's so
Museum of
funny.
North Idaho.
It's great.
Yeah.
I just love the passion you have for this. It's so fun to hear people talk about the work they're doing. It's one of the things I love about this podcast is like somebody's going to encounter you and they're going to have a great experience, right? But like when you just get a chance to talk about something you're passionate about, it's fun to watch the shift in people. I mean, just light up like this is the coolest thing in the world.
It is the coolest
Not
thing in the
everybody like lives in that space,
Yeah.
but like the way you tell the story, like I want to make sure I'm there for every exhibit. I had a chance to go to the Army War College a couple of weeks ago in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and they have a museum there. And I was talking to the curator, and she had a similar story. She's like, I didn't realize that this was a job.
Yeah.
She's like, I always went to museums, but and she was responsible for the photography archive there.
Okay.
And so her exhibit was all of these just incredibly powerful photos from
Right.
the Army
Right.
through history. I mean, it was amazing. But again, like just talking to her, I was like, oh. And after that, like I went and I got on the archive and I started looking at. I mean, I hadn't entered my mind, but her passion for it was like it triggered me to like go look at all this stuff. And I mean, just looking at those pictures, I mean, it's so hard,
Right.
so hard.
It's for that subject matter, especially. That's a daunting
It's
task.
not the best
too.
part of humanity, but then
No.
you sometimes see that humanity shine through in a random photo of a soldier sitting on a chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh yeah, we are human even in these worst moments. Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
I think that's one thing. I consider myself a public historian in the sense that or a social historian, I should say, because I love hearing the stories of just like the everyday people.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's great to hear what kings did and what these empires did and, this major battle and all of these things. But I want to know about that individual soldier's life and, what was his story as a childhood? Who was his family? Like, what is he wanting to get home to? And all of that has kind of driven my passion a lot more than learning about like all of the different movements within the battle. And I like learning about people.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. This has been so much fun.
Good.
How can this community help you? What do you guys need aside from showing up and participating? But what do you guys need? How can the community help make sure that this is something that is here for the next 100 years?
Yeah, honestly, showing up is the biggest thing for anyone who's local in this community. We do have memberships to the museum, which supports our operating expenses greatly. For a lot of nonprofits, they're very reliant upon grants, but there's very few grants when it comes to history and culture. And so we have earned revenue or, just local giving that kind of funds us more so than grants do. And so our membership program is great because you can come to the museum as many times as you want to. So we do 3 to 4 exhibits a year and you can come see them all for free and you get discounts on all sorts of stuff. So it's a really good benefit
That's
that
great.
helps us out a ton.
And that's just should be like the fee for preserving history, like for having a strong community. If you want to keep it, just get your membership.
Yeah.
All right, let's get that done. Everybody go sign up.
Go sign up. If you have a business, we have corporate memberships that give you all these passes you can give out to clients and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
And so it's a fun way to be able to help support the work that we do. And then the other part is we are almost primarily volunteer run. We have 3 full-time staff members and about 50 to 60 regular recurring volunteers. And so always looking for people that want to obviously give back, have the time to do so, because that's when in this busy world, having time to do things is always a challenge. But you don't have to know history in advance, just have an interest to learn. We'll teach you all sorts of fun stuff.
I was going to ask, like, what does it look like to be a volunteer there? Because I don't know that you want to trust my version of history that
we'll give you the right version. Don't worry. But there's things from being completely behind the scenes toward being more public facing. And so our research library, you could be scanning photos or entering information into our database. We have 40,000 digitized photographs, which is very cool. And we get new things donated all the time that have to be processed and labeled and paperwork and all of that. So our research library and collections team handles all of that, which is super helpful and great. We have an exhibits committee, so if you want to help in that way, kind of share the story and everything from design, research, layout. We have volunteers who help with that, volunteers that work front desk. So when you come in to purchase your ticket to go through the museum or you're buying something in the gift shop, that's a volunteer there that's greeting you and helping you with those transactions. Volunteers that help with our educational programs, whether it's going into the classroom or helping a field trip as they're visiting the museum. Walking tour guides are all volunteers, so the cemetery tours or our downtown and Fort Sherman walking tours, those are all tour guides. We have marketing help, which is volunteers. Maintenance, we don't have anyone, go figure, that's helping us right now with maintenance. Apparently that's just not the fun way to volunteer.
Well,
but
since the roof's not leaking, you're set,
I know, but every once in a while, we have, in particular, our back door, the handle, the knob falls off all the dang time. So I would love...
I'll volunteer to come. I'd love to figure out a doorknob. Let's get it
and
done.
figure out how we can get it from falling off
Super
all
glue,
the time.
duct tape, I'm ready to go.
Let's do it. So we're always looking for help with that.
That's
and
great.
then we're historians, we're not techie people, so always looking for good people to help with more IT, computer-related stuff. So... yeah, honestly,
lots of opportunities. So don't be intimidated. Like
No.
if you don't think of yourself as a historian, that doesn't mean you can't volunteer.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. You want to help, show up.
And if you just moved here or you've lived here a super long time, we'll take anyone and everyone, because that's our motto. Everyone's welcome at the museum.
And what if somebody just finds some random cool thing in their basement and they're like, man, I wonder if this is history. Do you want to know about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess that one should have been
I don't
high
know.
up on the list.
I was working on it. I was trying to tee it up
Preservation.
there.
We need things to preserve. Yeah.
But this happens often.
It
right?
does, yes. And it's one of those like double-edged swords where we want to collect as many things as possible, but our storage is so tapped out. And so we get the tough task of having to decide if it's something that is worth the little bit of storage that we have left. So we have this whole kind of criteria that we go through to determine if it's something that we can take.
Got it.
But we take things all the time.
Okay.
And we prefer people not just to come in with it, since our committee has to review things first. So just call us ahead of time or send us an email. All of our information on that is on our website on the process. And before it goes to a thrift store or the dump or reach out to the museum and see
how many historical things just ended up in the dump.
I know
people didn't know what to do with it.
I know there's tons. Or there's some private collector out there that I haven't met yet that I'm
collectors.
that
they
I'm
all listen to
hoping
the show, so this is going to help.
There we go. Perfect.
We're big in the private historical
if
collector
you're out
market.
there and you have a lot of the old business neon signs,
Ooh, nice.
leave them to the museum in your will.
Love it.
We want to take it all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a blast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
You're welcome. I look back at the history that I've only been here 17 years, so it's a very short window. I just feel so blessed to be in this community.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back and I see the work that Lidwin Durney, like the volunteers that established this organization.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the hell they went through to build this place, and
look what it is
where
now.
we're at today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do the hard work to get there, and you need visionaries, and you need people like you that like want to preserve things, but also you're not preserving it just to like put it on a shelf.
Right.
There's a story behind all of it.
Yes.
And we need to learn, like we just have to learn from these things so that we can get better and stronger as a community. And I think strong communities have good education, good healthcare, the museums, the historical stuff. I mean, that's how we've been wired as humans. Like we need those elements. And
Yes.
we need you guys to be successful. It's a huge deal. So,
We're doing pretty great so far.
great.
So yeah,
Love
but
it.
always need more people to care and to learn.
Yeah.
So join our fight.
All right. Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
All
great to be
right.
here.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Make sure that you go check out the Harvest Festival. We're all going to buy, everyone listening is going to buy a membership.
I
That's
hope
the
so.
goal. And then just remember, like, there's so many lessons from history, and this is a beautiful community. Let's learn the lessons and stay strong. We'll see you guys next week.